traveling is actually a privilege that I never thought of, or maybe just never kind of thought of it that deep. Because now looking back and like looking at everything that I know about traveling and everything, I am just like, yo, not everyone can be able to do this. So like not everyone can, even if they want, they can be able to afford, or they can be able to just, go travel because they want to travel, or just go to a new country because they want to go there, or just things like that. And now I'm thinking and I'm like, that why haven't never thought about this before? Anyways, guys, welcome and let's just rant. I am just here talking about traveling a privilege, because I feel like now that I'm into traveling and I think about traveling 24/7, I feel like it's something that comes so easy to me and I don't even need to think about it so much. I don't even need to sit down and be like, oh, what is this, this. The only thing I need to think of is just like, how am I going to look for more money so I can travel more? That's literally my problem at the moment. And I am just like, some people, there's people I understand, there are people who actually don't ever wish of traveling. Like for them, they just see traveling as just another thing that they're not interested in. And as someone who, as I said, I think about traveling 24/7, that is actually so crazy to me. Because I'm like, what do you mean you don't think about traveling? What do you mean you don't think about exploring other countries? What do you mean you don't want to go to Brazil, or you don't want to go to Tanzania, you don't want to go to Kenya? I'm like, what? That is so crazy to me. But I also understand that's just not what people desires, and there are people who do desire, like, traveling, and there are people who just don't, and there are those who also desire to travel but they can't. And that's where I feel like the privilege itself comes in. And when I was kind of thinking about this, because I felt like, actually, I saw a post of someone on Instagram. It was just a passing post, and they were saying, oh, I can't imagine like someone traveling, no, like someone thinking that their 9 to 5 is their whole life. I'm like, guys, their whole, like maybe they're literally trying to survive through their 9 to 5. Like, I cannot be here condoning anyone who is just trying to make it in life. And just because you see traveling as your whole life does not mean that everyone else does see it that way. And I was just like, it's interesting, because as someone who is now in the space where I can be able to travel, I'm thinking back on like 10 years ago. Actually, 10 years ago, let's put it 10 years ago, before, because that was when we were still back in Africa. I was still back in Kenya, and I came here in Australia. I was 15 years old, and by then my brain was just not where it is right now. And I understand, of course, I was young. I'm now developing, like, I'm not as young as I was anymore. Life has changed and everything, but that's the point. When I was young, and let's say when I was like 10, 11, 12, that's when we're being, you're being asked like, oh, what do you want to become? When I was young, I was never been asked that. Like when I was under 15, let's say that, because I first heard that question when I first came to Australia. That's when we were asked that question, like, what do you want to be when you grow up? When I first heard that, I was like, what do you mean? Like, what? Am I not just supposed to, like, get married and like have kids and like, that's life? What do you mean? What do I want to become? And the fact that I never thought of like working, I never thought of looking for money, I never thought of like studying beyond high school, was something that is now I'm looking back and I'm like, oh, girl, that was scary. But yeah, talking about that and just thinking back, I am telling you, like, I just never thought that there was life beyond marriage and kids and everything. So when I was back there, I never even thought of traveling. I never even knew that traveling is possible for just anyone. We thought, oh, people come abroad. Let's say we come to Australia as refugees, and you don't do anything, that is extravagant, or like you don't do anything. Even traveling, I don't even think it was anything that we could ever think of, because that's just not what was, what I saw other people do around me, and that was just not everybody's norms, or like that was just not something that I can see that, oh, someone is doing it, I want to do it too. So anyways, forwarding back now, I'm 15 years old, I come to Australia and I'm being asked, what do you want to do when you grow up? And now I'm like, oh, there's actually a lot beyond high school. There's like a life beyond high school. And then that's when I was like, oh, I want to go to uni, I want to study this, I want to do this, I want to do this. And now back for like fast forward in year 11, because I started year 10 here in Australia, and then year 11 I started doing like this internship thing. It was actually not internship, but like a training thing, a traineeship. And this traineeship was in hospitality, and the trainer who was teaching us, he was just like, yeah, like I've traveled, I've been here and here and here. Like he was a cruise ship member, ship crew, what is it called? Yeah, so he was basically a waitress on a cruise. And so because of that, he was able to travel. And he was telling us like how he was able to save money while working on a cruise. Like he was not using his money. He would just travel and look like explore these new places, but most of the money he would save them, and then he would decide to go like a big vacation. And when he gets like work vacation, he would go to these countries, he would go to this country. And me hearing that, I was just like, oh my God, like you've been here and you've been here? What do you mean? These are places I've only heard in books. These are places like I don't even, you know, maybe I've met some people from there, but I've just never thought they are possible for someone to go. And it was like, yeah, like, with money, you can just go here and here and here. I was like, interesting. So I finished the certificate I was doing with him, and then that came up. I was just like, okay, I was thinking I want to be like a news reporter before, but now I was like, nah, I think I want to work in hospitality, and maybe I can become a chef. And if I become a chef, I can be like an international chef, and then I can get to travel around the world. But anyways, I was just like, that's crazy. But that's where the idea for me traveling came from, because I heard people say, like, I met people who've traveled. I heard people who are also interested in traveling, and I was just like, interesting. So now I started looking for ways I really want to travel. I'm like, oh, how can I travel? Like, oh, you can travel with this job, you can travel with this job, you can travel with this job. And at the time, that's really what I was into. Like, I just want to travel while working. And because I want to be able to make money while also in another country, exploring another country. So I was just like, okay, let's do this. Let's do this. Let's think about it. And of course, when the time of, I graduated high school, I finished high school, so I'm now going to uni. I already knew what I was into. I already knew I was going to do traveling. I was going to learn more about traveling, like how can people travel, and also just like know many, like to just be knowledge on things about traveling and everything. So that's literally what I went to uni for. I was like, I want to learn tourism. I want to learn hospitality. I want to learn everything. And honestly, that really opened like an eye for me after uni. I was just like, now let's go. So after my first trip and everything that I've been able to, like everywhere that I've been able to travel, I'm now looking and I'm like, this is such a privilege that I have. When it comes to knowledge, I have the knowledge, and even though I might not know everything, at least I do have the knowledge of, like, being able to go to another country and being able to explore and just be able to like immerse myself in other people's cultures. This is such a privilege, because I also understand not everyone gets that. And also, as I was saying, there are also people who do desire to do that. Like, there are people, hundreds of people I know who wants to travel, but the fact that it's like maybe they don't have money, or maybe they do have money but they have families to support, or maybe they don't have the families to support, but they just like don't have the like sustainable income, or like they don't have the suitable job that is able to keep them, in a very good financial position to be able to even take a 1 week trip. And I am just like, I cannot take this thing for granted. I cannot take traveling for granted. And as much as I do love talking about traveling, I also really don't do not like putting it into people's like is faces. I am not like I think I'm very conscious now when it comes to that, especially when it comes to this topic of like travel privilege. If you bring up traveling to me, I'm gonna be here like podcasting about it, like let's talk, let's talk, let's talk. But then again, if you don't bring traveling to me, or you don't bring any sort of that thing, like that energy, I will not do that. Like I will just not touch about it, because as much as I want to say like, oh, it might be sensitive to people, but also I just don't think that it's for everyone. And I also just do believe that it's not for everyone, because as much as it is for me, which I understand, it's such a privilege, and this is the life choice I have chosen. It's not a choice for everyone. It's not a life choice for everyone. And yeah, that's just something I was like, I was looking at it, and when I saw the video specifically, and I looked at it, and I was like, guys, can we take a step back and maybe think about this? Because yeah, as much as I love traveling, I get it. I get it. I get it. So if you're someone who is in the space where, you just don't like traveling and that's not for you, I hope that you don't feel pressured, or you don't feel like your life is worthless because you don't travel or anything. Because there are people who are like, I don't like traveling or anything. But then again, when they see stories of other people, or they see comments like that where they're just being told like, oh, if you're not traveling, how you're wasting your time, you're wasting this. I'm like, no. But also, if you're someone who is actually interested in traveling and you want to travel, I just hope that if you're not able to do it now, maybe you're just able to do it in the future, because traveling is such an experience that I wish that everyone who wants to travel, or everyone who wish they could travel, that they get to experience that. So yeah, that's really what I wanted to touch on. And it's not that serious, but then again, maybe it is that serious. Thank you for listening to me yap, guys.